Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Sunday morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing well out there, having a great start to your day, and I hope you all have had a fantastic weekend out there so far. Thank you all for joining me this morning as we try to figure out what's going to happen weather-wise for your Sunday. Today won't be a whole lot different than yesterday. The pattern is in the process of changing. We'll get very detailed on that in tonight's video, but we'll kind of explain what I mean even in this video, as some of the rain, the moisture just in general is overspreading more of a broad area across the western U.S. But, most of the eastern U.S. will be pretty quiet today. We got some winter weather advisories up for, North Dakota and Minnesota. We'll speak a little bit on that. But a lot of the country is in the process of warming up and has been over the last several days and will continue over the next several days. And like I said, we'll break down that pattern change in great detail tonight, as we typically drop a video on Sunday evenings, and this evening will be no different, so stay tuned for that. But with that being said, if you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. I have not had a chance to answer the comments from yesterday morning's video, and I'll probably get to that probably sometime tomorrow. Typically on the weekends, folks, it's very busy, got a lot going on, just spending time with the family, yard work, whatever it may be. I'm sure you guys understand. Believe it or not, in the weekdays, I have more of a better routine flow. On the weekends, it's kind of like you do many different things, so things are kind of everywhere. But anyways, I'm sure you guys understand. But if you folks got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put those in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it, and it gives others an opportunity to do so too. If you hear my kids in the background, they are jacked up on some Krispy Kreme donuts this morning. Typically Saturday and Sunday mornings are a lot different. It's a lot louder in the mornings than it is on a week morning. So if you hear that, I think most of you folks understand, and 99% of you folks don't mind at all. I do have kids. So yeah, let's get rolling here. So the pattern is in the process of changing. So what I mean is, yes, we have this ridge that is kind of built over all the way up into Canada, and then it kind of gradually goes back down like this. You got a little bit of troughing over eastern Canada, and then it begins to kind of move up like that to the northeast. But there is no big time trough digs across the lower 48, meaning there's no big cold air intrusions or anything like that. A lot of the country is in the process of at least being around average temperatures, or more so above average temperatures, and this ridge is built all the way up into Canada will likely take on more of a west to east flow, meaning a zonal flow. And we talked about that in yesterday morning's video. We'll get very detailed on that in tonight's video. But, it is the upper air pattern is always changing, but it is certainly changing this morning into today, into early this week. So we'll talk more on that tonight. But this is in general kind of the flow of what everything's doing right now. You can actually look at the wider colors on your screen. Now, of course, just because the flow is going like this, I don't mean it's going to take the exact route as the arrows I'm showing. You're going to have moisture south and north of the actual low pressure in the storm track. But in general, this is what we have going on. Still hanging on to a chilly air mass this morning, at least, in areas of the southeast and the eastern U.S. For example, it's another morning here in my household where we're waking up to sub 40 degree temperatures. It just seems like we're hanging on to those chilly mornings for dear life. Certainly been some chilly workouts over the last several days. I wake up really, really early and work out before the sun even comes up, and it's been very chilly, that's for sure. But anyways, as far as what's falling out there, a lot of what you're seeing is not hitting the ground in the southeast. A lot of this shower activity probably not hitting the ground. Some of this is making it to the ground up here in the pink, and that's why you do have the winter weather advisories in extreme northwest Minnesota, northeast North Dakota. We have some winter weather advisories for a little bit of a light freezing rain, freezing drizzle. Not really a huge deal, but you're hovering at or just below 32 degrees in these regions up here, so watch out for some slick spots. And then we have moisture, kind of a break this morning in between the first storm that moved in yesterday and another storm that's going to begin to move in today. Kind of a break in Washington and Oregon and even areas of Idaho, but we still have moisture scooting across the higher elevations of the northern Rockies. It's snowing in areas of northwest Wyoming, especially in those higher elevations, more of a widespread rain in eastern Idaho, and then some moisture in central and western Montana. But we got another area of moisture that's about to push into the Pacific Northwest. And yeah, Another chance for some thunderstorms, some embedded convective activity in some of these heavy rains. This does include the coastline of Washington, Oregon, and Northwest California. So Eugene, Medford, Portland could see some thunderstorm action, especially Eugene. We'll watch for that, and we'll get more detail on that here in a second. But the rest of the country, quiet, no real thunderstorm activity. There is that very small, very, very small area in Southwest Oregon, Northwest California that does have that 5% risk, that marginal risk for flash flooding, but very low risk of any kind of flooding today. And then you look at watches, warnings, advisories. There's those winter weather advisories that I mentioned for that freezing drizzle. We got high wind warnings. It's been very windy in eastern and southeastern and southern sections of Wyoming over the last several days. Some red flag warnings in this hot pink color. And a lot of fog out there across the country. You know, you got dense fog advisories. If you're in this area in gray, it's where you have dense fog advisories. So wind advisories up for Oregon and one county in California. So no extreme weather, guys. No extreme weather going across the country. And to be honest, just a little teaser for what we're going to talk about tonight. I don't see any extreme weather coming up either, but we will speak on what I do see coming in. And I think a heavy topic will probably be the South and Southeast. A lot of people in the South are wondering, Mitch, when are we going to see rain again? We would love to see rain, and we're gonna talk about that tonight. I might have a little bit of good news for you folks. So, but as far as today, the word is dry and quiet. 2 words. That's 2 words. Dry and quiet. There's not really a whole lot going on. Got some moisture off the southeast coastline. This really won't affect the mainland. Maybe a shower or 2 around the Miami area, but the rest of the southeast, you just continue to be very, very, very dry and just quiet. So, northeast, pretty much the same way. I mean, you're probably going to have more of an active day tomorrow as some moisture moves in. At least begins to move in for tomorrow. But today, enjoy a quieter Sunday. You guys have not had a lot of quiet Sundays over the last several weeks. Enjoy today. It'll be very quiet. But as you can tell, as we're waking up tomorrow, you got moisture scooting across Canada, areas of Ontario. And it's cold enough to be in the form of snow, as the back end of this cold air from that trough we saw a few days back is still hanging around the northeast. If there's going to be one area of the country that's going to remain at average temperatures or slightly below, it's going to be the extreme sections of the northeast. But we'll keep this going, and this could start to bring some moisture tomorrow afternoon for areas of the northeast, southern Ontario, places like that. But we'll talk more on that probably in tonight's video. The south central U.S. just very, very quiet. I'll give you your 10 to 15 seconds of information here, but that's all we need. We really don't even need to mention the weather today. It's so quiet. Nothing for anybody out here. Just bone dry and quiet weather. It's another just huge area that we really, really need the rain, and we're just not getting it. Not everybody needs rain, but there's a lot of areas, Louisiana, Mississippi, that certainly need it. North central U.S., it's not showing up based off the HRRR model, but you certainly are seeing a little bit of moisture here in northeast Wyoming. Hey, guys, it happens once a video. There you go. Trust me, I know my states, guys. I promise you I know my states. But northeast, North Dakota, northwest Minnesota, seeing some freezing drizzle. Yeah, seeing some freezing drizzle out there. Some freezing drizzle is falling in certain areas. But you guys certainly can handle the winter weather up here. It's not a huge concern at all. It looks like Minnesota, even the Great Lakes region, the upper Midwest, it's too warm for any winter weather, really. It's going to warm up above freezing. So most of the winter weather is scooting just across the Canadian line into Canada. So, maybe the northern section of Lake Superior, seeing some snow. But as we're getting into this evening, some showers begin to fall as a low pressure begins to scoot through. But it looks like the Dakotas, Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, the UP of Michigan will be on the warm side of this. So this will fall in the form of rain. Some rain showers making its way through northern and central Minnesota, areas of the eastern Dakotas. And then as we're getting into the overnight hours, this is around midnight. Rain begins to overspread Lake Superior, areas of the northern sections of Lake Huron, Lake Michigan, the UP of Michigan. You guys will definitely go to sleep with pretty dry conditions, wake up to probably damp conditions, anytime you see a low pressure taking this far northern track, anywhere around the low pressure and south of it, it's probably just going to be rain. So this is plain old rain in northern sections of Minnesota, northeast Minnesota, and this is continuing. And then you're going to wake up tomorrow morning to light to moderate rain, maybe some heavier areas of rain in the UP, northern Michigan, and maybe some backside and cold air that you'll wake up to. Some of the same areas that you're seeing some freezing drizzle this morning could wake up to some flurries tomorrow morning, but most of the daytime pretty quiet. It's just when you get into this evening into overnight, watch out for this section right here for some rain that will move in. Now the western U.S., you got that moisture over Idaho and western Montana this morning. This will continue to make its way across Montana, so it'll make its way west to east. So if you live in central to eastern Montana, you'll certainly just see some shower action today. Not a big deal, but here's this break in between both of these systems, and then another system begins to make its way in. This is around 1 p.m. Pacific time out here. Some heavier rounds of rain begins to move in. This will be accompanied by some gusty winds, higher elevation snow. Could have some snow showers and heavier kind of squalls of snow in the higher elevations of Idaho, western Montana. But this really begins to take over a lot of Oregon and northern California as we're getting into the late evening hours. And overnight tonight, we could have a vigorous storm system that moves in. And this is around 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. You're just getting rounds of maybe even some thunderstorm activity into eastern Washington and Oregon and even northwest sections of California. But these are definitely rounds of heavier precipitation. So I'll roll through this one more time. This is around 8 a.m. This is around lunchtime. This rounds of moisture beginning to make its way into the coastline of the Pacific Northwest. And then we are getting into around the late afternoon, early evening time frame. And here's what the rain could look like across these states. And really begins to take over overnight. And more rain begins to overspread into Washington also. But as far as how much rain we'll see over the next 24 hours, another inch and a half is possible for the western sections of these two states you see on your screen, Washington and Oregon. Same thing with California. And speaking of California, let's look at northern California right here. And, you guys could certainly see some appreciable precipitation in northern California. So go on and expect this. You go over to Idaho, see what you're looking at over here. Not a whole lot of moisture compared to yesterday and what you'll probably see into Monday for today. But, some areas could see another tenth to a quarter, maybe as much as a half inch of precipitation, and some of this will fall in the form of snow. So we look at snowfall totals, the higher elevation snows in the Yellowstone National Park, southern and southwest Montana could get, a couple inches of snow. Nothing too crazy whatsoever. So temperatures today definitely starting to warm up, and you're probably going to hit 60 degrees all the way up into Long Island, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia. You folks will get well into the 60s, maybe lower 70s. In the southeast, a beautiful day. It just would be nice if we can get some rain. We can get some rain in between these beautiful days, but man, this is your typical looking like zonal flow look setting up. It really is, and it'll look more so like this even earlier into the work week. All the cold air is locked into Canada. You see all the highs in the 20s up here in Canada, and you just got marginal cold air across the Great Lakes region. I mean, even the interior Northeast just steadily starts to warm up as you get into the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, the Mid-South, getting into the 70s, and the Deep South, deep into the 70s, low 80s. So, I mean, even look out west. Look at the high plains. I mean, all the way into areas of eastern Montana to the low 70s all the way into South Dakota. The plains, 60s and 70s, just beautiful weather. It's really just, and even out here where you're getting a lot of moisture, it's a warmer storm. I've mentioned this a couple times, and it's just you're not getting a whole lot of snow unless you live way up in the air in the higher elevations. So, Las Vegas looking nice today, warm day. So nothing too crazy out there, guys. No extremes one way or the other. There really isn't, and I think that'll be a common theme going into the work week. So we'll talk more on that. Getting into tonight's video, is there any rain coming for the South? Any kind of big time storm systems? What is there to talk about as we're starting to get deeper into the month of November. That's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for viewing even in the slower times. I will say that just about every video just to let you guys know how much I appreciate y'all. You guys have a fantastic Sunday, and I'll talk to you here in the next several hours. God bless.